thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is a Dollar Tree foam pumpkin makeover. Now, I did do 3 different styles last year, and if you haven't seen that video, I will leave a link in the description as well as a pinned comment. So I'm back with 3 more styles. My Dollar Tree hasn't put out their foam pumpkins yet, so I actually had to buy these online. But the good news is that Dollar Tree has the foam pumpkins in quantities of 4. So if you are going through the same issue, you can definitely shop on the Dollar Tree website. And if you want to save a little money, I highly recommend using Top Cash Back. It is super simple to sign up and you get 4% cash back for shopping at Dollar Tree. Signing up is really easy. You just go on topcash.com and click on join now. You're going to put in your info, and once you are set, you get access to all sorts of goodies. So here they show you all of the deals that they have going on. They have over 4,000 retailers, and they do give 100% commission to members, which is why they're so awesome. So for instance, I want to shop at Dollar Tree, and Dollar Tree gives me 4% cash back. So once I click right here where it says get cash back now, it takes me directly to the Dollar Tree website. So on the Dollar Tree website, I can search whatever I want. And if you search for pick and pack, it'll actually show you all of the items that they have on the website that you can buy in quantities of 4, which is pretty amazing. They have all of the fall goodies, a bunch of back to school stuff, summer stuff. So I wanted to show you, this isn't a pick and pack item, but they do have the velvet pumpkins online, which is pretty amazing. So if you did want to buy the pumpkins for this tutorial, you would just go ahead and add it to your cart. Normally, if you ship it to your store, it is free shipping, which is amazing. And once you check out and do your thing, Top Cash Back takes care of the rest and you get 4% back. So I'll leave the link to Top Cash Back in the description. You get money back for shopping for stuff that you're already going to be buying. If you're a crafter, if you have an event coming up like a wedding or a baby shower, or you're just on the hunt for something that isn't in stores yet, Top Cash Back is perfect. And it's also available for 4,000 other retailers. And there's no minimum payout, so definitely check them out. So I hope that you enjoy this video and stick around by subscribing to this channel. Once you hit that subscribe button, we instantly become best friends.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with these adorable little pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the stem. Some do come off easily and others don't, so if you have an X-Acto knife, just use your X-Acto knife. Don't go too deep because it is hollow on the inside. It does have a little toothpick as well. And now I'm going to create a stem using air dry modeling clay. You can also use the oven one, but I like this a lot better because you can dry it on the pumpkin. Just make sure that whatever you get, you are storing it in some sort of container or Ziploc. I'm going to slice off just a small amount. This whole package will make a ton of pumpkins, and then I'm going to make sure to put that away while I work with this. I'm going to roll it out into a ball until it is perfectly smooth. This is really, really important. And then once I have that ball shape, I'm going to go ahead and take it and roll it out, sort of like a cigar, making sure that the end is just a little bit thinner. And depending on how you want your pumpkin is how you're going to roll this out. So for a thinner stem, you're just going to keep rolling. And at the bottom, I'm just going to take my fingers and kind of push down so that it looks a little bit more realistic. This is why I like using the air dry, because I can just place it on my pumpkin and let it conform to its shape. If you're doing oven bake, it's a little harder because you have to put it on a baking tray. So now I'm just going to take my end and curl that in. If you wanted something a little smaller, you can, or a little thinner, you can continue to roll it out. And I just kept smoothing, even though we are going to smooth later on. For my second stem, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to roll it out a lot thinner. And I want to create a curly stem. So once it is nice and thin, I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. But if you do want a pretty straight stem, you really don't have to do the same thing to the bottom. So I'm just going to take it and start to curl it, and to make my life just a little bit easier because it is not going to stay in that position, I just placed it on my pumpkin, spread out the bottom, and then I grabbed one of those little curl foam things from the dollar store, from Dollar Tree, and I placed it on there. For my third stem, I did the same thing, but I wanted some texture in there, so I cut off the bottom, and then with a popsicle stick, I just made some lines on there. In last year's tutorial, I did the same thing, but with a piece of wire, and I honestly like this a lot better because it made indentations without actually lifting up any of the clay. So now I'm just going to make my little curl and make sure that it's the way that I like it, and I'm going to set it up on my pumpkin. So while I had these all drying, I went ahead and used another curl form. I did remove the one off the curly one and just place it right here. And to speed up the process, since this is air dry modeling clay, I'm going to go ahead and put a fan in front of it, making sure the fan is not actually going to tilt the pumpkins. And every couple of hours, I am going to rotate the position in which the pumpkins are. It did take a full day for this to dry because they are really thick. So if you're not using a fan, be prepared to have this take a really long time to dry. But you want to make sure that it dries completely before moving on, because if not, and you paint over this, it will never dry. Make sure that you can't leave any indentations with your fingernails. And then now it is time to make them all smooth and pretty. Not this one because it has those pretty indentations, but these because they look a little funky. What we're going to do is grab either sanding paper if you have it, but I'm going to use a nail file since this is nice and flexible, and a nail buffer. You can get these at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start working on the sides. Make sure that you're staying away from the tip because that is a very thin piece of clay, and any false move and you can probably break it. So I'm just going to keep working it until it's nice and smooth, and you don't have to get it perfect because once you do paint this, it does hide a lot of the texture. When I was done lightly sanding this, I dusted it, took it outside, and used Rust-Oleum's Metallic Gold. I did do a few coats, and I made sure that it dried really well between coats, because since this is gold, you will end up with fingerprint marks if you touch it too soon, so just allow it an hour between coats. While that dries, I'm going to paint my pumpkins, and to make my life easier, I'm just going to go ahead and take some skewers and put that through the pumpkin. This helps a whole lot. I did this last year. I'm also going to put some wax paper down so that I can add my paint to it and not mess up my work surface. I used Apple Barrel's White. You can get this at Walmart or anywhere. I believe it's like 50 cents. Nothing too crazy. And I like to use sponge brushes for this. I know a lot of people don't like it because it soaks up a lot of paint, but I prefer this because it gets into all of those little nooks and crannies and hides the texture of the pumpkin. So it's up to you what you want to use. Since this is white, I am going to do a few coats, and in between coats I do put my sponge in a bag so it doesn't dry out. And while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and do my second pumpkin in the color turquoise, also purchased at Walmart from Apple Barrel. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, put some skewers in between, and then put it on a piece of foam while it dries so that none of the areas are touching anything and no paint is lifting. By the way, I did give these colors a coat of Mod Podge. So now for the third pumpkin, I just took a Sharpie and started drawing a little floral pattern. I tried my best to make it symmetrical, and it is super duper easy. You don't have to make this perfect because you are going to be cutting this out. You can use an X-Acto knife, but this is actually really small for an X-Acto knife. So I ended up using this foam cutter that they sell at Walmart. This gets really, really, really hot, and I do not suggest that you use this indoors. Anything that requires melting any type of foam or plastic, just do yourself a favor and go outside. So I went outside. Once it was completely hot, I just took the tip, and once I pressed it into the pumpkin, it immediately made a hole. So I did try to do the petals, but because it was heating up so quickly, it really didn't allow me much time to shape. But either way, I still think it ended up looking really, really good. There are some of the flowers that looked a little funky, but once you cover it with some paint, it looks really cute. So I'm going to show you a close-up and how quickly, this is sped up by the way, but this still went by very, very, very quickly. Now that that's done, I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to make a little lid. Now you don't want to do this with your knife pointing straight down. You want it at an angle so that it actually creates a lid. If you do it straight down, then it's just going to fall through. So make sure that your knife is always at an angle when you're cutting. You can also use your foam cutter, but I really didn't want to risk I just didn't want to risk it. So I went ahead and put it back on and used the color Tropic Orange, and I did the exact same thing. Put it on a skewer, put it on a piece of foam, and used my foam brush to paint this. You can paint the inside if you want, that's totally up to you, but I really enjoyed the contrast of the white foam. But I did go ahead and paint the lid completely just in case it peeked through. So I did do the sides of that. You don't have to add a lid, you don't have to cut that off, but I really wanted to add some lights so that you can tell that it is a carved pumpkin. So I did 3 coats of this and then added some Mod Podge so it's nice and glossy. And now I'm going to add these little twinkle fairy lights from Dollar Tree. Now that that's in there, I'm going to go ahead and add my stem. So I'm going to place this back on top. Now, last year I put toothpicks in my stems. Because the foam stems weren't as easy to take off, I actually have to use glue this year. So hot glue will do the trick. I don't recommend using anything like E6000 because remember, this is foam, so it might actually eat away at it. When I was done, I had this really cool pumpkin and it was super cheap. Now for the next one, I'm going to go ahead and cover that in Mod Podge because I did try putting my design on there without Mod Podge and it actually ended up lifting up some of the paint. So the Mod Podge is from Dollar Tree, by the way. You can get it in the craft section. They have matte and they have glossy. I did add way too much Mod Podge, so it did take an eternity to dry, but better safe than sorry. I really didn't want to have to repaint this. Once it was completely dry, look at how beautiful and glossy this looks. For the design, I'm going to use this metallic jewelry tattoo kit, which I purchased at Dollar Tree, and look at all these really beautiful patterns. I'm also going to use a wet rag, and I'm going to show you my fails. So I tried to apply it like I did before it had paint, and before I had painted this went on beautifully. Now that it has paint on it, it is just being a pain in the butt applying it this way, which is basically putting it on and then wetting it with a wet rag like you would on your skin. So if you do it this way, it slides around. This is my second attempt at it with a thinner one because I thought maybe it was because the pumpkin was curved and it did the same thing. So the easiest method was soaking it first, applying it to the pumpkin, pressing it down with the rag, and then peeling it off. This worked so well. Once I got the hang of it, it was a lot easier. This is the first one that I tried using this method, but once I got the hang of it, it was a lot better because it didn't slide around. In between the pumpkins, I did smaller pieces. Now, because this is soaking wet from my first 2 attempts, I'm not going to touch anything until after the whole pumpkin dries. Once the whole pumpkin dries, the tattoos do not move around. You don't have to seal it with Mod Podge. You can if you want. Just make sure that everything is dry. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add my stem. And once it is nice and dry, I have this really cool pumpkin. Now for my favorite pumpkin, after the white has dried, I made the mistake of using the most textured pumpkin for this, but I'm going to cover it up using this beautiful pattern. Now this I just printed off of my computer. I just searched Delft pattern. You can also search blue china pattern. You can search for blue vintage roses and you'll find it. Just make sure that if you plan on selling these, you're not using a copywritten image. So I cut it out roughly and then cut off the details, and these parts right here that cut off, I'm going to use for the top using some Mod Podge because I want to use everything on that paper. So I'm going to brush it on first and then cover that up. I line them up. It doesn't have to be perfect because the stem is going to go on top. And for the areas where grooves are at, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to spray it with a tiny bit of water just to relax that paper. This is really, really thin computer paper, but you still want it to relax and feel like tissue paper for areas like this. I added my design to the highest point of the groove and worked my way into the folds, making sure there was plenty of Mod Podge, and then covering the whole thing with Mod Podge. I was smoothing all of the air bubbles out with my finger, but you can also use a piece of saran wrap if that makes your life a little easier. I kept adding pieces, and the more that you cut this down, the easier it is to fold and get into place. So once the whole thing is covered, or at least covered to the point where I liked it, I went ahead and sealed the whole thing using my Dollar Tree Mod Podge. But if you want something a little glossier, you can find a high gloss Mod Podge at Michael's. It does make it look a little bit more like ceramic, but I think that this dollar store one did the trick. I let it dry completely, and then I added my stem using the same method, which is hot glue and then pressing it in and holding it until it dries. And when I was done, I had this beautiful vintage pumpkin. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite, and be sure to check out Top Cash Back to make money shopping at Dollar Tree. So thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you on the next one.